Hello there, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about Adolescence, which is available on Netflix. If you're not on Netflix, it's easy to find. It was a big cross-celebra earlier on in 2025. I, of course, watched it much later because I always do that. Because as soon as they're like, you have to see this, I go, no, I don't. And I'm not going to. You can't force me to go watch this. It's not in my contract with Netflix to watch this. You know, I've just signed up to watch whatever I want. I'm not going to watch this. Then later on, it's like, yeah, there are good people involved. I really should watch this. So eventually I go around to watching it. But yeah, it took me a while because I'm grumpy and older now and will not watch something because you're meant to. Like, if I ever watch anything that's current, that is popular, it's because I watched it before I knew it was popular. You know, it's accidental. It's never on purpose. So, Adolescence really is excellent. It was written by Stephen Graham and Jack Thorne, and it's 4 episodes, which is perfect for what it's doing. And it's a good thing about the thing about streaming. It has a streaming world. There's advantages and disadvantages. The thing is, in anything, they always say everything's been corrupted by this new format. The world as we know it's gone. It's all going to be garbage, and it's like, no, there's good points and bad points. The bad points is that it's harder for filmmakers to actually sell stuff to streaming, because you either have to sell it to Netflix or license Netflix at probably not that great a rate, so the money's not great to get budgets for certain kind of films. But they also, Netflix can finance certain kind of weird things. If it's a decent budget, but it's only like 4 episodes, there's a good chance they will do it, because it's like compared to their annual budget, it's nothing. You know, they will finance all these stupid big name movie stars and these terrible like spy movies that who the hell watches them? That seems to become a part of the past when people realise just how bad most of them are, and you have to actually sort of quality control a lot of them. But they've actually Netflix. One of the things Netflix is good at is bringing in foreign films, like from Asia, because there's a big Asian audience. So you can catch a lot of really good foreign films from Asia on Netflix. That's primarily why I have Netflix. It's because of the Asian films. And you get some fun French movies too, sometimes. You just have to really look for them. So back to Adolescence. Adolescence was one of these ones where they made it and it was announced they were making it, and it was like, okay, someone's doing someone a favour for a 4 episode thing. But these things pop up, and it's like, well, it's quite healthy to pop up. You do get some good stuff, and it's like, it's not reliant on this thing of, oh, it has to be multi-seasonal things, you know, which is the problem with TV sometimes, is they have to multi-seasonal arcs that ultimately are going nowhere. And, you know, it's letting people get bored before you get to the end, which is why they get cancelled before you get to an end. But this thing, just 4 episodes, really makes it a lot easier. So I'll get back to the point. So Adolescence is basically taking a problem of the day, which is youth violence from young males, which has always been a problem in life. I mean, human males, there is a percentage of human males that have violence in the system that sometimes can be sublimated going to the army or navy or whatever. It's like, okay, I've this in my system. And it happens more when you're younger and you get it out of your system, and as you get older, most people think, oh, it's not worth the hassle. I'll just go on my day. You still get nutcases out there who are older, but it's much harder to find those kind of people. It's much a lower percentage. But a lot of people, and when they're younger, the testosterone's growing, you know, and there is violence. There's also youth violence of people who are not even at the age of people into the army, who learn how to control their violence and put it to a kind of constructive thing of, we're doing peacekeeping things, or we're doing this, or we're doing that, and they'll learn to control their rage and control the reasons for the blood to go into the army. Here it's just kids in school dealing with life and dealing with the horrors of school, which is never much fun. I mean, we've all been to school. We've all got our horror stories. I mean, what I find is I got off pretty lucky. At the time, I was like, oh, it's a hellhole, blah, blah, blah. And then you look back and other people went through thinking, no, everything was actually kind of okay. It was just annoying. And in this case, it's also a case of, yeah, there's some horrible stuff going on in school, but it's from what I see, it's just like what happened before, but with more technology. It's not like schoolyard bullying, schoolyard horribleness has been going on for centuries and it'll keep on going on. Like you cannot, you know, take out human beings to be horrible to each other, especially when they're younger and they're trying to establish dominance in an area and they don't realise how absurd that is. And it's like how people view them is important, more important than it really should be. And if you're on the lower end of that scale, it's going to be pretty horrible for you. And it's just something that you can have so many things, so many like lectures saying, do not bully, do not do this. But kids are going to ignore it. And they're going to have to learn on their own why it's not a good idea. And most of them do. And the ones that don't go into crime and go to jail. And this is just a simple case of what happens with kids on the internet. When kids on the internet and becoming like engaged by arguments that are, you know, toxic. But also the idea that kids look at stuff that we're worried about and look at it and go, well, that's stupid. Like, everyone's yapping about Andrew Tate and it's like, well, this guy's to the kids, this guy's a moron. So, some of them take up his ideas because they're needy for, you know, whatever they need from social media. But a lot of kids are like, nah, this guy's stupid. And that's what's happened forever. I mean, I remember when I was in the 80s, when I was at school, it was like, there was different versions of that, like people who had ideas that were cringing to our parents, and some people were like, oh yeah, he's at a point, and everyone else was like, are you stupid? No, he doesn't. You know, what? You know, it's just like, you saw certain people who'd fall into this trap, and the rest would just go, nah, I'm not that dumb. So I mean, a lot of the adults worrying about kids, a lot of it really is thinking the kids are dumb, and when they're not, and it's not actually looking at their reality and what they actually are. But this show looks at the idea of, well, the social media plays a part now how kids communicate, and they've got their own code. Kids always create their own code to get around the grown-ups. They've done it since the beginning of time. They're going to keep doing it. And when you're a kid, it feels natural to avoid your parents' focus by having ways around them not knowing what you're talking about. I mean, it's always the thing with kids, as you notice, is that they seem to think that you don't understand what they're going through. You couldn't understand what they're going through. When in fact, yeah, you went through it too. It's like, there's not much that's surprising if the parents actually are honest with themselves. You know, some of them aren't. Some of them idolise their youth and idolise what they were, which makes them less objective about what's going on as they try and make their way in the world. They sentimentalise their past, which makes they can't really talk to their kids in a way that kids are wanting to be talked to. And kids hate being patronised. And adults patronise kids all the time. So this whole thing is about that communication gap between grown-ups and children and what children are actually up to. And it all revolves around a murder of this girl who is killed. And it's established early on that the son of Stephen Graham's character did it. Episode 1, he did it. There's footage, he did it. There's no way around it. He's not getting away with it. But it's also it's why did he do it was the big thing. And each episode goes into different areas. So the first episode is him being arrested, the kid being arrested, and it's just a process of being arrested, and take him up to the thing of the father seeing the footage of his own child killing someone else and the horrors of that. And the child just been shell shocked, and it's like, is this a psychopath or is this kid not understanding what he's done? And the second episode goes to the school. The police officer going to the school and trying to keep the kids and find out why did the killer and the victim know each other, and how do they know each other? And again, everything wrong with the kids because the kids have their own code for things. It ends up taking the son of the detective, who's also in the school, telling him, "This is embarrassing. You're getting all this stuff wrong. This is what this means. This is what that means." And it's like, and it is basically something. It's a social media version of something that's happened forever. Whereas the kids are like, "You don't understand what the codes are for this." The third episode is about the psychologist trying to evaluate the child and seeing where, did he know what he was doing? Is he a psychopath, or is he? What is he essentially? And it's basically a two-hander between the child actor and the psychologist. And the fourth episode is basically the fall through from the family. The family is, it goes, this show is over a year. Basically, the first two episodes are basically happen when everything's going, the aftermath of the death. So it's the first day or two. Then you're jumping like 6 months to evaluation. Then you're jumping again to another 6 months, and it's like the family's actually being targeted because everyone knows their son did it. And it's, do they move away or do they not? Or how do you communicate with this your own kid now that, and your brother, when for the sake of the daughter, when you know he's done this horrible thing? And it's like, how much were you actually liable for this? And it's one of those things. It's like, it's about, there's no real answers. It's like you're meant to make up your own mind. Like, I have my opinions watching it. That someone else will have a different opinion. So we're all going to have different opinions of what the guilt of the parents actually are, and how much were they involved or not involved enough. How much could they actually understand, and how much how much carried down from his dad to the son that caused this, and how much did the dad do that actually alienated the son? Because it does look at the idea that the father has anger issues, but they're not like really violent anger issues. It's just he gets annoyed at things and he gets angry. So there's obviously an anger issue within the family. And there's also the issue of he was trying to force a kid into sports. Like, the kid wasn't a sports kid. He was a small kid, he wasn't a sports kid. And he felt embarrassed by his dad, pushed him into something he wasn't good at. And it was making everyone else look at him in a way that doesn't help. And there's also the fact is, he didn't know how to deal with girls, like, at all. And he didn't have any role model to actually tell him how do you deal with girls. And he was doing all the horrible mistakes that can happen. That hopefully most of us tend to think, oh, that's a bad idea, don't do that. And he doesn't really want to tell him, look, don't do that. And it's that sense of there's like an accumulation of things that happened, but also he did it, and you know, how much of it was him, how much of it is he a psychopath, or how much could have been avoided, how much couldn't have been avoided, how much was the school, because they showed you the school doesn't have a clue. They're just all these kids around to try to teach them. There's too many of them, there's not enough time to deal with the crises. They expect the parents at home to deal with that. The parents think that school's dealing with that, and they're also not paying attention to what their kids are doing at home, being on the computer all the time. But the show doesn't say, like, it's all about the computers. Because it also shows the kids have a disdain for some of the stuff you get on the internet as well. And there's also all this sense of everything that's happened has happened in different variations over time as well. And it's like, who snaps and who doesn't snap, and why do they snap? So even though this is something that's happened, if you look at past history, it's happened everywhere. It happens in America all the time. You look at all the school shootings are what happens when you have this attitude mixed with guns. But the attitude's still there, the problems are still there, the school situation's still there, the alienation's still there. and it's like how predetermined it is, and it shows you there is predetermination. And he's saying he wanted to scare her, and is that true or is it not true? And it doesn't give you a sense of coming down an answer like this is why I did it, this is why I didn't do it. The parents are at fault, parents are not at fault. It's like you make up your own mind, which I think what I like in shows is like or films is like make up your own mind. We're giving the information and make up your own mind of what is relevant and what's not. I can come down to the idea that it was preventable, but you had to be paying attention, and the father was trying his best to provide for the family, and he probably wasn't paying enough attention to his kid. But the kid also had psychological problems, and the mother wasn't able to deal with that because she just didn't have the understanding of the male psyche to deal with it. So they just let a kid stay in his room all the time and not deal with the growing problems. But it's something that everyone understands as people are busy, and the father's way of dealing with the kid and trying to bond with him completely misunderstood who the kid was. It was just based on what the issues the father had with his own father, rather than saying, okay, who is this person? How can we help them? I was lucky I never had that. I never had my dad try to push me in some direction because I was an arty kid or anything. But some fathers do. But it's also like most kids don't kill someone after that. Most kids just get through it and are a bit annoyed by what happened. It's like it's a mix of different things, and it's like just like this thing happens in life, and every so often it's going to happen a weird combination, and the situation is going to explode. And it also shows that the victim was a bully. She was bullying the kid, and it wasn't like he killed her just for reasons. He killed her because she bullied him for him showing some weakness for her, and it's like he didn't understand how to deal with women. But it didn't say like. It also said she didn't have to die for that, but it was like that was a trigger that was there. So it's a very complicated situation, and the show understands it's complicated. It's not like a simple thing. The performances all around are great. The Stephen Graham is a lead, and he's also the guy who wrote it. But he's in the first episode and in the last episode. But in between, he's not in the third episode, and in the second episode, he's in it for like one scene. There's also the film. It's all in one shot. Each episode in one shot, so they did like 10 versions of each thing, and they just kept on going and kept on going and kept on going, and then they used the one they thought was the best one, which allowed the actors to really go into a role. The amazing thing is the first one they shot was episode 3, which is the analysis of the kid by the psychiatrist, which is the best one because it's just two actors talking, and it's creepy, and the kid's amazing in the film, and the show is really good because you feel for him, but you also know he's damaged, but you also know he is a killer, and it's a really complicated thing, and the kid is directed really well to play it, and obviously has the talent to play it. The woman playing the psychiatrist is also excellent, but also there's a sense that she's in over her head in some ways. Like she has a plan of what she's going to do to find out what's up with this kid, but when she finds out, you're like, was that naive or was that human or what's going on here? And it's like so you don't even think, oh, she's like the best at her job. It's like she's at a job and it's quite difficult, and you wouldn't say she's perfect at it either. Just like no one shows perfect at anything. The actresses playing the mother and sister are terrific. The people playing the cops are terrific. Everyone's good throughout the film, throughout the story. But the third episode is a standout. It is kind of like the even though episode 4 is amazingly good, it falls on from the really good one. It's like, no matter what you're doing, you're falling on from something. You're falling from the peak, so there's only so much you can do. But it is an excellent show. I definitely recommend seeing it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I probably went on way longer than I should have, but it's a complicated issue. So I'll see you all later. Bye for now.